and welcome. My name is Danielle, and today I have a very special guest with us. Her name is Amorita, and she is a contributing writer in the upcoming book with Radhaa Publishing House, Stories of the Goddess Divine Feminine Frequency Keepers. And just to give you guys a little bit of insight onto what this book is about, it is a very powerful and inspiring book that celebrates the courage and determination of women who listen to their hearts and follow their inner knowing. For too long, we have, as women, been suppressed and subjugated to hide all our gifts and survive in a very patriarchal society. However, we are here to reclaim and bring that inner magic back and dive into and embrace our divine feminine energy. So this book showcases several of the archetypes, goddesses, and offering a glimpse into a world where the divine feminine and masculine can work in harmony to create a better world and future for all. So I would love to welcome you, Amorita. You have a beautiful voice that you shared in this book with your frequency, and it's such an honor and pleasure to be here with you today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I feel so grateful, so excited.
Yeah, and for those who are not familiar with this book, could you tell them a little bit about what it was like for you on your journey to connecting with the goddess and how it was that you came to work with Radhaa Publishing?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to. So for me, it was such a beautiful experience, and it was truly allowing me to ground in my divine feminine frequency of receiving. I think that that's a big feminine energy of being receptive and open and being able to allow ourselves to receive. And that was something that I got to learn early on in this process, because I actually had a friend gift me this spot to be in the book, which was such a blessing. And I remember her offering it to me a few times, and I was like, oh, I'm just waiting for the right circumstances to come through. And she lovingly reminded me, she's like, my love, I am working as a channel to offer you a spot. It's up to you to say yes. And I think that that is so beautiful, that how many times in our lives we may be presented with opportunities that we don't necessarily feel right about receiving, or we don't feel maybe even on some level that we're worthy. So it was such a beautiful starting point to be in this book with that energy of being able to receive, because in the past that was something that I would have not been able to do, just out of the strong independent woman. I can do everything on my own, but this was such a gift to be able to be a part of this work. And I remember seeing the cover and my highest self telling me, you're going to be in this book. You're going to be an author in this book. It was the moment I saw the cover, I knew. And then I read all of the information and I applied, and it just felt so in divine alignment. So I'm so grateful that it happened the way it did. But I think that's something that for me, right from the beginning, was again such a loving reminder of it's okay to receive. If someone is offering you an opportunity or something comes along that is in divine alignment and you're able to do it, it's up to us to be able to say yes. So it was a really powerful intro, even, of being a part of this incredible book. I'm very, very excited about it.
Wow, that says a lot about just stepping into working with the goddess archetypes too, because one of the biggest things is learning how to receive. So you were an example and stepped into that role and willingly opened up vulnerably, because writing essentially is a way of expression, and sometimes to put yourself out there it can be very challenging. So you are obviously ready for it, and here you are. I'm so grateful you took the call yourself, because it wouldn't have been the same without you. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I remember connecting with you and Radhaa on the call as well. We all hopped on a call together, and I could just feel how much love and intention had already been planted in this book, and the frequency, and that it was going to travel and find the hearts and souls that it needs to find. Because right now we're witnessing such a beautiful period on earth and such an incredible collective ascension, really, especially in regards to the divine feminine frequency being in harmony with the divine masculine frequency and really grounding heaven on earth. So I'm just honored to be a part of something so special, so transformative.
Oh, I love what you just said, bridging that, making that bridge, because I talk a lot about that, and I really see that vision that you have as well. Could you share your thoughts on the role of the divine feminine, how it is creating a better world for all of us?
Absolutely. Yes. So I feel that, as you kind of were explaining in the description of the book, women have been suppressed for a long time, especially when it comes to gifts and our intuition and trusting ourselves and having that deep inner knowing, just because of the way that we've been conditioned in this world and as a society. So I think the divine feminine for me personally is really this. She is the bridge. She is what births literally beings, human beings, from the spiritual realm into the physical realm. So I think that it's so beautiful that the divine feminine energy can really be in this 5D essence of trusting our intuitive wisdom, trusting the feelings that we get within us, having that nurturing side, kind of that inner knowing, right? And the greatest example of this, I believe, is Mother Earth. And the way that Mother Earth ebbs and flows and is able to shift and expand and change and go with the wind and always persevere no matter what's going on. That to me really is that divine feminine essence. But for me, it's knowing, again, kind of like I was speaking to, that the divine masculine and feminine really have this beautiful ebb and flow and this energy that goes so beautifully together and is able to dance in such harmonious union, that I think that's really what we're witnessing here on earth right now, with the divine feminine rising over and over again and making herself and the energy known, is that the divine feminine doesn't ask to overpower the divine masculine. The divine feminine energy knows and understands that it is an equal balance. And I think that's such a beautiful conversation that now we're starting to witness people having really openly, and even just the energy in general of the divine feminine and divine masculine, that it's an energy and we all have both. So if we can tap into that internal intuitive wisdom, kind of that more 5D essence and presence, and ground it on the earth, that's where we get to share and speak and really make a difference. Because if we're just feeling all these intuitive things and we're not making a difference, we aren't using our voices, we aren't writing, we aren't sharing our gifts, whatever our gifts are, every being, I believe, on earth has their own unique set of gifts. But if we're not sharing them with the collective, why are we here? Why are we on earth right now? And that's something I like to speak to is, yes, we're infinite, powerful, magical light beings, and we incarnated as humans for a reason, to make a difference and to have an impact.
Right. Oh, you just speak so fluidly and beautifully. I just want to take a second to honor that, because being able to speak your truth, I mean, that is really the support and a cultivation to an aspect of the divine feminine where we have been so suppressed that if that throat chakra is not open, it's good to work on it, and there's no judgment. It's, we all have to break through. So I just want to thank you for doing the inner work, because I can see it, so feel it, and hear it so clearly through your the way you speak. So absolutely gorgeous. And I just adore what you said and feel in my heart a deep resonance with that. And that's my personal take as well and belief. So I do have a question. Could you speak on the idea of why sisterhood is so important, especially now and just in general for the rise of humanity?
Yes, such a great thing to bring forward. So for me, I actually had a lot of wounds with the feminine. And I talk a little bit about this in my chapter, my relationship with my mother, the divine or the feminines in my life that were kind of more in that toxic femininity. And I think that as a collective, when we look at, even especially in America, the culture, it's a lot of women competing with other women. And I think that that is a really big shift that we're seeing, and something I personally speak to. And it became not only a hashtag, but it became a strong presence in the Divine Feminine workshops that I hosted last year, was this Queens Build Queens era of being able to recognize I'm a strong, beautiful, divine feminine in her power, and so are you. And together, when we come together and we each bring our unique gifts, we really have a stronger impact in the world. And that's what it's for, the ripple effect for the collective as a whole. So sisterhood is so important, because there has been a direct wedge in between a lot of women, and it's unfortunate. And it kind of blows my mind in some ways, because it's such a natural thing for women to be loving and nurturing, and again, feminine energy, right? Feminine energy to be nurturing, caring, loving to one another. So to see it come to this space, and I think we see this in the collective right now, of a lot of envy, a lot of comparison, these lower vibrational frequencies. We heal the sisterhood wounds by coming together as sisters in community, and by sharing our stories, by sharing our vulnerable moments, by being able to speak like for me and personally, that I had a lot of issues with my mother growing up, that I didn't receive a lot of love from the women in my life. Being able to speak to other women about these wounds is really what helped me heal these wounds. I couldn't do it on my own. I'm a huge fan of inner work. I strongly believe in inner work. And also, I think that we're all sacred mirrors of each other. So I would not be able to heal those deep wounds I had with really the toxic feminine energy that still exists. I feel we have to acknowledge it. I had to be able to really face those wounds and open myself up vulnerably and open up my heart to other women, knowing where I was coming from, but not projecting that into my future with the relationships with the women in my life, if that makes sense. It wouldn't be fair for me to every woman that came into my life to just project that pain onto them and assume they were going to hurt me because that had happened to me in the past. So I think that that's something really important to speak on too, is that a lot of women have the sisterhood wound or the mother wound. So again, we heal it by coming together as one and by recognizing that we're all wounded. We're all just these wounded little children. And I know that might sound kind of weird, but it's so true where we're at as a collective and what we're experiencing. Everyone has their own journey, if you will. So being able to open-heartedly talk about it heart to heart, face to face, especially in women's circles, in any form of women coming together in a gathering, whatever way it is. I think that that's really how we come together and heal that collective sisterhood wound, which is very much real. And I think that's a big part of it, is acknowledging that without just like covering it up or pretending it's not there. We have to be able to talk about it and support one another through that healing.
Yeah, absolutely. There was so much you said that I personally feel that's something I even have worked on myself. And I feel like it's so relatable. I feel like the more you open up and just you're authentic about your personal experiences, it definitely helps others shift and realize I'm not alone. Like, okay, other people are going through this. And it doesn't make you, I think it takes you from that victim mode into an empowered divine feminine. And ultimately we want to be the champions of our own life, and that's really what's important, is going from the victim to empowered and rising together. And that's why I really loved this project. And for you, what was it like working with Radhaa Publishing, and how did this help shape and even grow you into, because you're so deep. I mean, everyone I talk to, there's so much depth to each woman, and I love the unique responses that I get. However, I'd love to hear your take, because I feel like you probably did a lot of inner work even during the process. I just have this feeling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I learned a lot about myself in the process. And I think, again, a big theme for me in the entire process of this book was being able to receive that energetic support, that love. I think that our writing especially is so vulnerable and personal, because it's literally us trying to eloquently and gracefully communicate our own experiences and our own story while being able to share openly and honestly. So for me, being able to be with this powerful group of women that I know each have their own unique story, they're each their own unique essence, it reminded me, just like you said earlier, that I'm never alone and that I could do it. Because my entire life, I would say, from childhood, I'm going to write a book someday. I'm going to write a book someday. I'm going to write, because I know that it's a part of my path in this journey. But being able to work on this in a collaborative way allowed me to feel so held, so supported, so unconditionally loved. I knew I wasn't alone. And even to be able to speak to other women during the process, specifically the one, like the beautiful soul that gifted me that spot, Jessica Louise Phillips, who's also an author in this. It was so beautiful on this journey that we were able to really confront a lot of things that we were experiencing internally throughout the process. A lot of things like imposter syndrome, not feeling good enough, not feeling like we deserve to be heard. Like, these were things that, to not only experience it and feel it during that process, but then to be able to openly and safely talk about it and lovingly share that, of shifting that narrative, because that's something that takes a lot of time. It's not just something that happens, right? It's not just, oh, I said I was going to write this chapter, I got a spot to write it, now I wrote it, it's all great. It was a big deep learning experience for me of knowing that my voice deserved to be heard, knowing that what I had to say deserved to be received. And I think too, for me, it was really trusting the process, that whatever was channeling through was what these readers need to hear. Because I think for me, and I remember saying this at the very beginning, and I loved this process of working all together, and you can attest to this too, I would say, I don't know how I'm going to do it in 3,000 words. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to get it all in there. I don't know how I could ever pick just one goddess. And I think just trusting throughout that process of hearing other women kind of share their own experience with their writing, and knowing and trusting that whatever was meant to come through would, it changed everything for me. Once I kind of let go of the perfectionism, or what do I need to write about? What aspect of my story do I need to share? It became about the readers, of what do they need to hear from me right now? What layer of my story? Because we're also multidimensional and we have these deep stories, right? So for me, it was really, what do I need to pass on? What do I need to share that is going to be most relevant and received right now? And through that, I got to receive as well. It was such a beautiful journey. I'm so grateful for the entire experience.
Wow. Wow. See, guys, anyone can do it. And also, like, I feel like as a person that sees these connections with each one, because I've been doing these interviews, and I feel like I have a bird's eye view, and there's so much like there was so much alike. It's amazing, but we all speak and express in different and unique ways. And what I'm loving and seeing is that there was so much growth for each one of you. And there was also so much transition, because it's like the cycle, the death and rebirth, and we're constantly evolving. So I love how you pushed through that perfectionism and the imposter syndrome. I can't talk right now. Yes, I can. So much it wants to come out right now, and I can't, it's hard to grab the words. You have me highly excited. And as we're talking, the sun's coming out, so I can feel the energy like really coming through. And so I'm just going to continue, because I feel like you have so much to say that's really important to be heard. So for those who are interested in writing, and maybe they never thought until they start seeing some of these Radhaa Publishing interviews, but I'm wondering, for those who have never written or submitted anything, whether it's directly for them in their own book or in a collaborative way, what advice would you give to someone looking to publish in a collaborative book?
What comes through so strong is that everything we need is already within us. So even if we think on some level, oh, I could never do that, that's a limiting belief in its own way, that somewhere along our journey, someone convinced us that, or we convinced ourselves that. And I'm such a believer that we never know until we try. And I'm a huge person, like a huge fan of just saying, just go for it. I'm so big on this. Take the leap of faith. If not now, when? We never know until we just go for it. And I'm the type, I would always rather look back and say, wow, I can't believe I did that, than I wish I would have done that. Or I wonder what could have come from that if I would have just said yes. So I think journaling and meditation is a really great way for anyone to be able to tap into their own inner voice and find that form of expression. For me, through this experience, I recognized how important it was to be able to become a clear channel to bring through whatever it was that needed to come through. And it kind of takes the pressure off us too, when it's about the reader, when it's about the message that we're channeling, rather than saying, quote unquote, I'm not a good writer, I can't write. Anyone can write. I truly believe this. And we're also in the age of information and resources, that we can speak into our phone and it will type it up for us. Most of us, it's access, right? So being able to speak, being able to write, but I think journaling, even just getting that practice, is something that anyone can do. And I work with a lot of clients, and I've heard a lot of people that say, oh, I can't journal, I don't know how, or it's not for me. And I ask them, and I just ask honestly, I say, well, have you really tried? And a lot of times their answer or their response is, well, no, or, oh, I tried once, it's not my thing. And for me, it's such a juicy, beautiful, sensual process of lighting candles, playing high vibrational frequencies in the background, sitting down with my journal and letting myself open my heart and just flow. It becomes this really beautiful, ritualistic ceremony in its own way of letting all of that out. And even if it's just brain dumping of all of these things I have going on, getting them out, it's such a good way to express that energy, because otherwise it's just bottled up within us sitting there. So if we're able to speak and write, we're letting it out, we're letting it free. And the more we do it, the more it just comes naturally and it will flow. But it's like anything else, where if we're open and willing to practice, and we know that we don't have to do it alone and that we can do it in a collaborative way, it really takes a lot of the pressure off of, again, it's bigger than just us. We're channeling it through, but it's not about us indirectly, our story. It's about the message and being a sacred mirror for one another, and knowing that our story has the power to save someone's life sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that when we think of it that way, it becomes this beautiful flow of energy rather than this forceful thing that we have to do.
Yeah, I agree. What do you hope that the readers will take away from your chapter after they read that?
That everything we need is already within us. Each of us, we're so unique, we're so powerful, we're so strong, that the goddess lives within us, and we have the ability to tap into that energy and that God consciousness. I think that that is something that is so profound, because a lot of us are taught and ingrained and conditioned to believe that we get energy or power from an outside source. And I know that this in itself could go very deep, but if we can recognize that we have the ability to tap into that, even just by being open, then we really become infinite and limitless and abundant, which is what we came here for. We came here to explore and rediscover ourselves, and to expand our soul's consciousness individually and collectively as well. So I would hope that my chapter can remind anyone reading it that truly we have it all within us, and we can tap into it. It's there for us to tap into. That's what I would say. I'm like, I could keep going, honestly, on and on and on, but I'll keep it at that. I'll I'll leave it there for now.
That was so beautifully said. And overall, from the experience that you did have with Radhaa Publishing House, what was that like for you? Did you feel supported? Did you feel like, what would you recommend people working with them? Because I know that a lot of people that get published, they'll do research, and there's, certain things that, that are offered and certain things that aren't. So what is your, overall experience, and how do you feel about, the value in what you're receiving?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, I actually took a course on all about publishing and writing a best-selling book. And it was a very in-depth course. And I learned about the self-publishing route, working with a publisher, all of these different things, because this is something that I've known I've wanted to do for a long time. When this opportunity came up for me, it was like this golden compass, or this beautiful gift from the universe, because everything was laid out so easily that I really never felt alone. I never felt like there were limits placed on me. I never felt like I was unable to do it. I felt so supported, and again, unconditionally loved throughout the entire process, that it really allowed me to have faith in myself and the process. If I had questions I could ask, it wasn't something that I had to do all this research or try to get a hold of someone. Everyone was so loving and open throughout the entire process, that it really allowed me to feel so held. And it was such a beautiful segue, I think, for me to know that I could write a full book myself, if that's something that I want to do, because being able to have this chapter with so many other powerful beings, it reminded me that I want more chapters. I want more. I want to be able to write more. So I think to open up that door, it's such a beautiful gift from Radhaa Publishing House that so many have the ability to tap into and do it. I would recommend that for anyone that has any soul pull or any desire to write in any way. It was such a beautiful starting point. I'm very, very excited to see what comes in the future from this opportunity, and more collaborations to come, and also more personal work of knowing I can do it. It was it's like learning to ride a bike with training wheels first. That's how I felt in this. It's like you have that loving parent running behind you with the training wheels, knowing that they have their hands on the handlebars, like, you can do it, whispering in your ear, like, you can do it, keep pedaling, keep pedaling. That's what this process felt like for me personally. I felt so safe, which I think that then it's like, again, if we're using that analogy, take off the training wheels, let go, then you're able to ride by yourself and feel free. And I think that that is such a gift when we're able to really provide that support and that love. So it was such a beautiful experience. I'm really honored, truly. Very grateful.
It's so profound because I feel very similar to how you feel as well. And I believe that collaborative books are a really great way to start out because like you said, you learn quite a bit and then you can, go after it and create your own book or multiple books. Who knows what there's the sky's the limit. So
Mhm.
that being said, where can we find you? Because now that we're coming, today's the 23rd, guys. So our pre-launch is today, and we'll be sure definitely to link all the information down below. But where can we find you if somebody is interested in working with you or wants to connect?
Yes. So I do have a website. It's www.amoritaspurpose.com. And my handle on Instagram is also Amorita's Purpose. And then I do have a podcast. It's the Shrink Yourself podcast with Amorita as well. So just some different resources, but everything is listed on my website. I'll have a direct link for the book there as well so that people can get to it that way, have it featured on there too. But yeah, even an Instagram DM goes a long way, I think, of just like getting a feel if we want to work with someone and getting to know them. So I'm open.
Aw, well, that's wonderful. We'll be sure to link all the information down below. And I just want to thank you, Amorita. You're such a pleasure to be around. Your energy just like totally lifts the room. You have such a great presence about you. And just hearing you speak, I can listen to you for like hours. So thank you for being here today. And I want to send you much love, everyone. Until next time, check us out. We're on Amazon now.